One of the, I think, our super strengths at Curated is we've always focused on a very specific niche. We know what we do best. We try to be experts in vintage Lamborghinis and vintage supercars, and we don't really go outside of the box too much. We don't deal in too many Porsches, even though I love Porsche 911s. I think they're incredible cars, but we do deal in Carrera GTs and different things like that. More of the oddity, very rare, sort of blue chip type cars. Again, these are all, things that inspired me as a young guy, as a kid. And I try to stick to buying what I love or what inspires me. We don't just buy to have inventory. So I got a call about 4 or 5 years ago. This was, right in the middle of COVID. It's from a European colleague. He's telling me about this incredible collection that's coming out of Korea. He starts listing off some of the cars, and it's almost like too good to be true. It's like almost unbelievable. But the first car of this collection that he says that, if we want the rest of the collection, we had to buy the first car. And the first car, he tells me, was a roof CTR Yellowbird. Now, at the time, I did not know much about these cars. I knew and had a recollection from the 1987 Road and Track magazine, 211 miles per hour, the fastest car of this, supercar test. And I always thought, wow, how cool would it be to deal in those cars or buy one and sell one? As a young guy, my dad was an incredible mechanic, one of the greatest Lamborghini techs in the US for many years. And during the 1990s, he actually serviced 2 CTR Yellowbirds. I remember them very well. They were probably the fastest cars that he had ever had at his facility. So I did always have them in the back of my mind as being special and unique, and really a big fan of anything that the Roof family has done. He tells me the price, and it doesn't sound that crazy, but what he starts to tell me is the history, and it's just so good. From my understanding, a long-term family owner, but with just under like 1,000 kilometers or something like that, probably the lowest mileage CTR Yellowbird in existence. Now, if you know anything about tuning cars, you know that most of these cars in the 1980s and 1990s were driven very hard. They were not, put away as collector items. They were abused, they were used, they were modified. And many times, you're restoring those cars. You're not buying one with no miles. So the opportunity to buy what was potentially the best Yellowbird in the world, CTR, was very, very cool. Upon doing a little research, I realized, okay, so there's 50 cars made. There was 29 cars originally as a white body, so a real roof VIN. And there was another, 30 or 31 cars or something built as conversions in period. So I started doing all this research, and yes, this was a W09 roof VIN car, and it checked all the boxes. In my career, I've always really put work first. I do it a lot as I'm getting older. As I'm having kids and, families becoming an important part of my life, I'm starting to really find this balance and juggle between work and family. I've got an incredible dog that I love to death. His name is Pablo Escobar. And Pablo Escobar one day was very, very sick. And I just got extremely worried. Just grabbed this dog and he's throwing up blood and he's just a mess and he's shaking. And I'm like, this dog's like, something's happening to him. He's dying. So I rush him to the local animal hospital, and the guy tells me, hey, I'm so sorry. I think Pablo has a problem with one of his organs. I don't think he's going to make it. And I don't give up. I'm like, I'm saving this dog. I'm saving my dog. The worst thing imaginable is, going home to my wife and kids and telling them, sorry, your dog's dying. I did not want to do that. I was going to save this dog. So I end up at another animal hospital. I'm there. I don't remember if it was early in the morning or late at night. And I get a phone call. It's from a major collector, and I know him very well. He calls me, and I said, hey, man, now's not the right time to talk. Like, I'm sorry. He's like, why? I'm at the dog hospital. I don't know if my dog's going to make it. It's a tough situation. I'm going to feel horrible for my kids. And he's like, are you serious? And I thought he said it in like a rude way. Like, you serious? You're not going to talk to me because your dog's sick? And I go, yeah, why? Like, what's the problem with that? I'm with my dog. He goes, what can I do? Can I fly him somewhere? Can we get him to a hospital? And ends up, this collector was a big advocate of animals and dogs and all these things. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. Like, I sent him a picture of the dog. I'm like, no, I hope he's going to be okay. Ends up, Pablo was fine. He's still with us today. He's doing great. Somebody fed him a little too fatty meat. And I started texting with this collector almost daily. He's like, how's Pablo? I'm like, he's doing great. I'm like, you know what, you buy Porsches, right? And he's like, yeah, I love Porsches. I buy some of the best Porsches in the world. I said, you know, I just got offered this car to me as a roof Yellowbird, and apparently it's one of the best in the world. I said, I was buying it for inventory. I don't know, maybe you want it. He goes, John, I would love it. I'm like, hey, listen, you know, this is the price. I don't know if this is fair. If you want to just pay me a fee. And he's like, done, I'll take it. Now, the interesting part of this was this collection out of Korea was actually from the Samsung collection. So Mr. Lee was a very avid collector, and I would believe at one point he had one of the better collections in the world. He had 3 or 4 959Ss. He had CLK GTRs. He had Ferrari FXX, a Ferrari 599XX, which we actually sold later on. He had some incredible roof cars, incredible 911s. I believe he had the last 993 Turbo S ever made, the first 993 Turbo ever made, all with these incredible, unique factory options. And this, the roof, was the first car to get into the entire collection. So I made the deal quickly, never actually put it in inventory, sold it to this gentleman, and I basically said, hey, if you want the rest of the Porsches, let's do some deals. So we ended up buying the Turbo S Lightweight with 200 miles, a 959S with 300 miles, another 959S with 500 miles. And I ended up selling him like 8 or 9 cars. Now, I always laughed that it was thanks to Pablo that we built such a great relationship. I never sort of thought about it again. We sold him a bunch of Porsches. He was happy. Fast forward a year later, we ended up, talking about, Porsches and 911s. We talked that, hey, I didn't know a roof Yellowbird was going to sell between $1 million and $1.5 million. It was really wild at the time that we did that deal. And he says, that's one of the most special cars in my collection. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Fast forward until about a couple months ago. You never would imagine in your career, sometimes you could see a car in a short period of time go from $1 million to $6 million. But as many of you guys know, if you've been following the Porsche market, Gooding & Co. at the Amelia Island auction announced this big sale. And it was this big sale of all these tuner cars. The flagship, I would say the cornerstone of this sale, was this CTR Yellowbird. Now, when they first announced the estimate, I think the collector car community was stunned. This would have been probably the highest potential sale of a roof in the history of the car community. And I don't think anyone realized the true value of these roof CTR Yellowbirds that have been trading behind the scenes for so many years. I obviously didn't realize the value many years ago, and this gentleman did. Fast forward, I'll never forget, we were in the period of, we had actually started to buy a few very special roof cars. We had just sold another CTR Yellowbird to a great client, and we were chasing 2 other CTR Yellowbirds, and now starting to learn about these cars. And I said, listen, whatever happens, I don't know if it's, going to break this crazy estimate ceiling, but who knows? We'll see what happens. I'll never forget, I was actually traveling, and I'm listening to the auction, and I was on my cell phone, and I'm trying to watch it on Hammer Price and watch it online and listen to it. The car ended up selling with fees just over $6 million. So breaking a world record, definitely. Again, I'm not a roof expert, but probably one of the best roof CTR Yellowbirds in existence. If it wasn't for Pablo, the deal probably would have never happened. It's very cool, in your career to look back on these moments and say, yeah, we sold that car. We found that car. We had that car. And definitely one of those insane moments in the last 10 years at CURATED. A few months after that, a higher mileage car, which I think was like 20,000 miles or something like that, broke another record. And I think it was just around in the mid 4 million range for another CTR Yellowbird. So insane numbers from the German tuning brand roof. A lot of these tuning cars of the 80s sort of remind us sometimes of the tuning cars of the 60s, where you see these, you couldn't tell the difference between a real Hemi Cuda convertible, some of the nuances, the details, or a Yenko, or all these different cars. It could be a $50,000 car, or it could be a multi-million-dollar car. And the same really when it comes to these pre-merger AMGs and roof cars. Many times I've been driving a $1 million AMG Hammer, and no one knows if it's a $20,000 car or a $1 million car, and the same with a roof Yellowbird. If you didn't know, a narrow body, a yellow G-body with different bumpers would look very, very similar to the $6 million CTR Yellowbird.
Car Trek week is finally here. On Friday at 10 a.m. here on VINwiki, Car Trek 11 will begin, and that is only possible because of Auto Tempest. This is a journey that started 11 series ago with this very car, thanks to Auto Tempest, the Gallardo. We've done 11 of these things, and I know that you're gonna love it. I think it's our best series yet. So that'll come on Friday, but right now, I want you to check out the link in the description below, because searching for your next car on Auto Tempest is the best way for you to thank them for their support of VINwiki and for bringing Car Trek back. So let us know what you found today on Auto Tempest, and check out Car Trek 11 on Friday.